The Young and the Restless spoilers, Wednesday update, full August 21st, 2024. In the high-stakes world of business, where every move can either make or break a company, alliances are formed, secrets are traded, and power plays are the order of the day. For Audra, her partnership with Kyle at Glissade was one such alliance, one that was both necessary and fraught with tension. The company was at a critical juncture. While their goals were ostensibly aligned, Audra knew that there was more beneath the surface, a game of power and control that she needed to win. Audra had always been a strategic thinker, someone who could see the bigger picture even when others were lost in the details. She understood the importance of maintaining a balanced partnership with Kyle, especially given their shared responsibilities at Glissade. The company's future depended on their ability to work together, to combine their strengths and mitigate their weaknesses. Audra was no fool. She knew that trust was a rare commodity in business, and she wasn't about to let her guard down. "Let's keep things fair, Kyle," Audra said one morning as they reviewed the latest projections. Her tone was calm, almost soothing, as if she were trying to ease the tension that had been building between them. "We both have a stake in this company, and we both have a responsibility to see it succeed. There's no need for us to be at each other's throats." Kyle looked at her, his expression a mix of skepticism and wariness. He had been through enough in the corporate world to know that words were often just that. Words. Actions, on the other hand, were what truly mattered. And while Audra's words were reasonable, couldn't help but wonder what her true intentions were. "I agree," Kyle replied cautiously. "But we both know that actions speak louder than words. If we're going to make this work, we need to be honest with each other. No hidden agendas." Audra smiled, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. "Of course," she said smoothly. "Transparency is key, but let's not forget that we're both in this for the same reason, to grow Glissade into the powerhouse it can be. That's what matters." But even as she spoke, Audra's mind was racing. She believed in the vision she had for the company, a vision that involved taking bold risks and making tough decisions. But she also had her own goals, ones that Kyle knew nothing about. She wasn't about to let anyone, not even him, stand in the way of what she wanted. There was more at stake here than just the success of Glissade. There was her own future, her own power, and she wasn't about to relinquish control. Meanwhile, on the other side of Genoa City, another power struggle was unfolding. Victor Newman, ever the master manipulator, believed he had found the perfect way to rattle Billy Abbott by using the secrets of Billy's mother, Jill, against him. Victor had always prided himself on his ability to get under his rival's skin, to find their weaknesses. Victor had done his homework. He knew that Jill was currently in London, recovering from a recent health scare. But what intrigued him most was the idea that she might still be keeping tabs on everything happening back in Genoa City. The thought of using this information to destabilize Billy was too tempting to resist. So, Victor made his move. He confronted Billy with a cold smile, confident that the mere mention of Jill's name would send Billy into a tailspin. "You know, Billy," Victor began, his voice dripping with calculated malice, "I could easily reach out to your dear mother. I'm sure she'd be very interested to hear about all the ways you've been failing recently. Or perhaps I'll pay her a visit myself." But to Victor's surprise, Billy didn't flinch. Instead, he met Victor's gaze with a look of steely resolve. There was no fear in his eyes, no sign that Victor's words had hit their mark. If anything, Billy seemed almost amused by the attempt. "Go ahead, Victor," Billy shot back, his tone laced with defiance. "Go to London. See if you can scare my mother. But let me tell you something. Jill's not someone you can intimidate. She's stronger than you think. Hell, she told me herself not to worry about her. She's got everything under control, even from halfway across the world." Victor's smirk faltered slightly as Billy continued. "London's her second home, Victor. She knows it like the back of her hand. So, if you think you can waltz in there and cause trouble, you're in for a rude awakening. Jill's been through worse than anything you could throw at her, and trust me, she'll see you coming from a mile away." For the first time in a long while, Victor found himself on the defensive. Billy's confidence was unsettling, and it was clear that his attempts to rattle him had failed. The truth was, Victor had underestimated both Billy and Jill. He had assumed that by targeting Jill, he could weaken Billy's resolve, but instead, he had only strengthened it. Billy's next words were like a challenge, one that Victor couldn't easily ignore. "If you're so sure of yourself, Victor," Billy said with a sly grin, "why don't you go ahead and try? Go ahead and make a move against Jill. But let me warn you, if you do, you'll regret it. Because Jill doesn't play games, and neither do I. You may think you hold all the cards, but you're not the only one who knows how to play the game." Victor's eyes narrowed, his mind already racing with thoughts of how to counter this unexpected turn of events. He had come into this confrontation confident that he could manipulate Billy, but now he realized that he might have underestimated his opponent. Billy was not the reckless young man he had once been. He was sharper, more calculating, and less afraid. As Victor turned and walked away, he couldn't help but feel a grudging respect for Billy. The young man had stood his ground, refused to be intimidated, and even managed to turn the tables on him. But Victor Newman was not one to back down easily. He knew that this battle was far from over, and he was already plotting his next move. Back at Glissade, Audra watched as Kyle left the office, her mind still buzzing with the possibilities of what lay ahead. She had managed to keep the peace for now, but she knew that the real test was yet to come. She had to be careful, play her cards right, because in the world of business, one wrong move could cost her everything. Audra's thoughts drifted back to Kyle. He was ambitious, driven, and he had his own agenda, just like she did. But as long as they could work together, as long as they could keep their personal ambitions in check, there was no reason they couldn't both get what they wanted. The key was to maintain a delicate balance of power, to ensure that neither of them gained too much control. But Audra also knew that balance was a fragile thing, could be disrupted at any moment, and when it was, there would be no turning back. She had to be ready for anything, to anticipate every possible outcome. Because in the end, it wasn't just about Glissade's success, it was about her own survival, in a world where only the strongest could thrive. As the day came to a close, both Audra and Victor found themselves deep in thought, each contemplating their next move. They were players in a game of power and deception, and the stakes had never been higher. But while their methods were different, their goals were the same: to come out on top, no matter the cost. For Victor, the challenge was clear. He had to find a way to outmaneuver Billy, to regain the upper hand, before it was too late. For Audra, it was a matter of maintaining control, of ensuring that Kyle didn't become a threat to her plans. Both knew that the road ahead would be difficult, but neither was willing to back down. As the night settled over Genoa City, the battle lines were drawn, and the stage was set for the next chapter in their ongoing struggle for power. But in this game, there could only be one winner, and both Audra and Victor were determined to ensure that it